Welcome everyone. We are live on this what are we Wednesday? Yes, I think it is. It is a lovely Wednesday. I know you see that title. Repay evil for good. Oh, but Angela. Neville says we play all the parts. Whether we're a Stalin or a Hitler, it doesn't matter, we're all redeemed. Agreed. We are all redeemed. And I know I may not have experienced what you have. But when you hear repay evil for good, do you think it's telling you to do that because nobody cares what you've gone through? That's not why it's telling you that. It's telling you that because in order to repay evil for good, you have to become the good. Mm? You have to become the good. But if you repay evil for evil, what do you become? Listen, when we allow ourselves to sink to a particular level, we all know how difficult it is to rise again because it becomes very familiar to us. So don't think that because, you're just repaying them for what they did to you, it may be justifiable. Shoot, it is justifiable. But remember, in order to do something, you have to embody it, you have to become it. Hmm? So, what do you want to become? Again, I'm not telling you that what people have done to you is acceptable. That is not what I'm saying. I'm asking that we remember we will also do things. Because we are always in a state, and we act according to the state. So remember yourselves. If you allow yourself to become the evil, because in order to repay evil for evil, you have to become it. So what do you do instead? How do you alleviate or alleviate the pain of the injustice? By remembering the person acted according to the state that they were in. As simple as that. I'm not saying that they shouldn't spend their time perhaps under the cemetery or under the jail. I'm not saying that. But remember, we always act according to the state. And this is why when you know that we act according to the state that we occupy, then forgiveness, ooh, the F word, becomes easier. Do you think you're forgiving the other because there is another? We are forgiving the other because the other is self. The other is self. Remember, in order for you to condemn another, you have to embody condemnation, thereby condemning your own self. Right? So, what do we do? In our mind's eye, elevate them. Oh, Angela, clearly nobody's ever hurt you before. Because that's so easy for you to open your mouth and say, don't hurt anybody. Just elevate them in your mind. You had me at hello, right? It is a matter of comprehension. You live a much more, you live a life that is less filled with burdens, unnecessary burdens, might I add. Hmm? Unnecessary burdens. Again, it has nothing to do with what they did and how they did it. It's not an affront to what you went through. But think about it for a moment. When you sit there and you remember the atrocity, what happens to you? You get polarized in that direction, do you not? You get riled up, you get worked up, and you become this, why I oughta, I'm gonna show you. You see what happens? But what if you did it the other way? What if you allowed yourself to raise them up mentally? Because in order to raise someone up mentally, you have to raise your own self up mentally first. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? I know it might be a little hard to hear it. Because if you go down to their level, what do you have to do? You have to become it. That's all I'm saying. Remember Deuteronomy 28. I put before you life and death. Choose life, though. That's what the scripture says. It says to choose life. But you have the option. Because what happens to us is we sit there and we reminisce about the atrocity. But if we follow through with our own atrocity, now what happens? We end up, most of us would feel guilty about it. No, I wouldn't. He had it coming. Right? And when you feel guilty, now what state are you in? And you beat yourself up and you feel bad because, oh my God, I should have done better. Oh, look, shame. At the end of the day, who's affected? Yes. Don't think for a moment that the person in their state doing what they did, they have to reap according to the state. They act according to the state, they reap according to the state. So they always get theirs. It is law. They always get it, right? So don't think that it is this thing that nobody goes unpunished. Here's the thing. As humanity, we have learned how to reward and we've learned how to punish. Those are the things we've learned how to do as humans. What we've not learned, which is actually our true nature, our true nature is comprehension. It is comprehension. There's a saying that I forget, I think it's an African proverb. It says if the child doesn't feel love, it will burn down the whole village just to feel the warmth, right? That's what that saying says. But think about it. All we get to do, something simple. Something simple. Sometimes all anyone ever needs is a simple smile, you know? You and I. Some days, all you need to be reminded of is, oh my God, that's right. Somebody smiled at you and you remembered, oh, that's right. I am here. And I do have compassion. There is compassion in the world. There is kindness in the world. What is the other saying? Be the change you want to see. If the world requires more kindness, become the kindness. Is that not what we hear? But we're so quick to punish and to reprimand. How about we practice being quick to love instead? What does that look like? It looks like hearing somebody out. Just hear it. Again, I know It may be challenging, but if you could see what you were doing to yourself, perhaps it would be easier for us, right? The scripture says, turn the other cheek. uh, Somebody said to me, I'm all out of cheeks to turn. Oh, snap. Right? Turning the other cheek does not mean to take abuse incessantly. What do you do when you encounter an undesirable situation? You revise the situation. Use your power. Think about it. When you go and you pick up a weapon, you're not using power. That's so basic. But your power would be, wait a minute, I see what this person did here. Let me raise you up. Use your mental power to set each other free. Exactly. Thank you for your input, sweet boy. Use your mental power. You understand? Use it, which means when you encounter a thing that you do not like, mentally revise it the way it should have gone. And you will change not just you, but the person you had in mind. Yes, you will change the situation. Again, I know it seems so far-fetched, but what do you think we're doing day in and day out anyway? We're thinking. So put them to good use, and then you will end up reaping what you have sown. Indeed. Even, and I know some would say, but Angela, the scripture says an eye for an eye. Pfft. You know what that's telling you? It's telling you the law of correspondence, as within, so without. If you give me an eye, I have to give you an eye. I can't give you an ear, because then they don't match. That's all that scripture is saying. But because we've been conditioned to lean towards the violence first, we think that's what we are. No, that is not what we actually are. And so long as we remain there with our behaviors, the world remains as it is. We keep talking about a paradigm shift, but we have to initiate that paradigm shift by shifting our own minds. People talk about, oh, we're going to move to the fifth dimension. But how do we get there? We have to raise and elevate ourselves. And then the world around us begins to reflect what we've done. But Angela, that sounds like you want to live in a utopian world. That's not what I'm saying. We don't always agree. We don't always see eye to eye. But what we don't do is destroy one another. There's a difference. I can love you and say, please, that doesn't make any sense. But do I come and just choke you? No, I do not. See, we want the change in the world, but we don't want to become the change. Yes. All of the things that have happened in the past, they don't stay there. We bring them with us forward to the present and the future, unless we revise our response to them. And the process is always the same. What do you want to experience. That's the first step. Well, second, because you acknowledge the problem first, and then you ask, what do I want to experience instead? And whether you have to revise or create, you're creating. When you revise, all you're doing is experiencing in imagination what you would experience in reality if the situation had gone a different way. But if you're creating, you experience in reality, you experience in your imagination what you would experience in reality if you had the thing you wanted. So you see, whether you are revising, meaning changing your opinion of something and the way it should be, the way you want it to be, or you want to create something, the process is always the same. It won't change. It's always the same. So if you hear yourself asking, oh my God, I don't know what to do about this, stop. You have a problem. Yes. You say, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So what are you doing? Recognize what you're doing first and then ask, what would I prefer to be doing? You see, we think that this quote unquote technique, when it isn't a technique, it is the way of existence. It's the way of existence. It's not a technique. And we think, well, I can only use it to get a car. I can only use it to get a job. I can only use it to get a house or a spouse. I can only use it for those things. No. You can also use it for the invisible things. Oh, but isn't that what you're doing altogether? When I say invisible, I mean the inner characteristics: confidence, boldness, security. All those are states that we cannot see, but we embody. You know? So that's the part I want you to remember. That at every turn, every moment of the day, we are presented with an opportunity. How will you apply that opportunity? Like, for real. I can tell you, it doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't matter where I go. And with my dad, I observe him. He's always so pleasant. He is. He's just pleasant. That's his nature. But he doesn't take any crap either. He may take it for a while, but then he stops and he says, foolishness. But he doesn't crush a person. I often wondered at that, especially being there to see what he's gone through. I always asked myself, how could he not crush a person? And listen, I tell my father the law every day. But he's been living it because that's our true nature. We live according to law. We can't change it. But it is always best to be deliberate. Right? But I always marveled at that. I said, he's actually living the law. And he is. And I keep telling him that he is. And he's like, that's God. And I'm like, But I always see him in my mind's eye the way, But to me, he's just who he is. And I learned from observing him and Granddaddy. And I don't know where they get it from. Other than, yes, it's the law, but some people just, maybe you know one of those people today who have the ability to see the good. Maybe you know a few of them. Don't envy them, because you can be just like them with the simple application of the law. What do you want to experience? Think about the burden that it is, right? To walk around with the injustice day in and day out. Just for a brief moment. Think about it. Look at how heavy it is to drag it through the world day in and day out, over and over and over again. Yet we want change. How can it change externally if we do not change the film that is running on the inside, that projects outward on the screen of life? So today, my beautiful friends, be encouraged to know that even though we've gone, as Shaka Khan would say, through the fire, right? We've gone through it. Even though we may have gone through it, Scripture would tell us there was one in the furnace who resembled the Son of God. But he was unscathed. He wasn't even, listen, he was in it. He was in the fire and it did nothing to him. Why? Because his mind was not upon fear. His mind was not upon worry. He was in the fire, but unaffected by it, which is exactly the same thing we can do. We are in this world, and if we apply the law on a daily basis and practice selecting the state that is much more beneficial for us, then the fire, when you go through it, those on the outside looking in would say, wait a minute, they're unscathed. How is that possible? Look at what they've gone through. Look at what they're going through. But yet, it doesn't faze you. See? That's what happens to us when we apply the law and our mental powers. We can go through anything. We can be in this world and not be of it. We won't let these things on the outside because we know what they are on the outside. Individually, we project, but collectively, think about it. There are many personalities. Many personalities. One consciousness. And each personality is experiencing their own thing. They're projecting onto the screen of life. Right? We all do it. So we're doing it not only individually, but collectively. So instead of giving me the side eye and saying, ooh, this heifer is crazy today, talking about don't pay evil for evil, do good instead. You don't have to do good. You don't have to. You don't have to. But it is in your best interest to do good. Right? Because in order to do the good, you have to be the good. Yes. And I'm not talking in terms of good as how humanity sees good, by way of how the law sees good. Because only you know. So test yourself. What do you want to experience? Claim it. Claim it. And then what's the first thing you would do if you were experiencing that very thing you wanted to experience? You see how it moves you? You see? It just moved you when you thought of it. Then get inside your imagination and rehearse it and rehearse it and rehearse it until you actually stop rehearsing and just start living that part. That is what we do day in and day out. There's no deviation from it. Day in and day out, we do it. Because think about what you're doing when you sit there and you wallow in the injustice. What do? We start doing what? Experiencing in imagination what we would do in reality if we were given the opportunity to perpetuate the harm. I can tell you that's what we're doing. So then, go the other way. Go the other way. I know you don't believe me just yet. You don't have to believe me, but you will come to the knowledge of it. Yes, you'll come to the knowledge of it. But remember what you're doing. You are simply applying the law. That's all you're doing. That's all you're practicing day in and day out. That's what we're doing. So be encouraged to know that all is well. Not will be well, it is well. If you continually meet with disagreement, then you, my friend, are disagreeable on the inside. Constantly thinking about how you have to prove yourself. That would be why. It's not a bad thing, it's not a slight to you, but do you want to remain that way? Then become agreeable to self by first recognizing that each person is in a state, including you and I, or you and me. You know, we say it, oh my God, did you get up on the wrong side of the bed? Right, you're in a state. So if you can recognize that we all act according to the state that we occupy mentally, how do you know where you are mentally? What kind of inner conversation are you having? Are you arguing in your mind? Well, then, you're going to argue on the outside. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Hmm? So, if you don't want to argue and have to prove yourself, recognize that you need not prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to prove yourself. You are already phenomenal. It's just that you don't believe it. So you think you have to prove your worth. You don't have to prove your worth. You need to know that you're worthy. And when you begin to know that you're worthy, you walk worthy. You talk worthy. You breathe worthy. And then your worthiness is recognized every single time. See? But if we're so busy looking at, oh, this person doesn't like me. If we're busy looking at that, how can they? Look at where your attention is focused, and where the attention is, well, that's what we breathe life into. That's the experience we breathe life into. So today, the encouragement is this: examine yourself, not to judge, but just to make sure that the experiences you are having are the ones you want and are happy with. That's what we do, right? That's all you're doing. And when you answer that question, is this good enough for me? No. Well, then, begin to experience in imagination what you would experience in reality if you have the thing that was good enough for you. And do that day in and day out until such time, because you are so enamored with that new thing that you are. You remain faithful to the new. Listen, you keep pressing and pressing those grapes until that wine, all the juice comes out, and now you can work with it. But you don't jump out part way through. You stay until the pressing is done. And then you move on to the next phase, which is to experience your tasty treats. See? Practice it day in and day out. Doesn't matter the situation. Do you want the situation to continue is the question. If not, what do you want it to be? So you can either revise or create. But either way, you are powerful, not powerless. And the only way to recognize your power is to use it so you can see the evidence of it. I can tell you you're powerful every day, but until you begin to exercise it, well, I want to be this way. Well, then start being that way within your mind's eye, and you will have no option but to become that way. You'll have to see the evidence of what you embody. Right? So you see, it's a good thing. It is brilliant news to know that we don't have to remain stuck. We don't have to remain stuck, but we can change our lives. Recognize where you are, and then choose what you would rather be, and then experience it in your imagination as you would do it in reality. What's the first thing you would do? Aha! Then rehearse that in your imagination. Your body will confirm the truth of it and remain faithful to that new state. Don't vacillate. Don't go backwards because you don't see the new thing just yet. The new thing is inevitable so long as you hold it. What you're holding, like the artist looking at something, you will recreate it. So hold on to the new thing within your imagination and give it your love and your attention and your time. And you, that's what you said you are. So you'll become it so you can see the evidence, because your words cannot return unto you void. So if you say, I am that, you'll have to see the evidence of your I amness and what you claim to be. That is your word today. Let us take a brief moment now, shall we, to welcome everyone into space, into the space. Uh, I'm trying to be one step ahead of the rooster, okay? Ah, who's here on Twitter this morning? Hey, C Staff. Well, you've been a stranger, haven't you? Love Troll, Driving Tea, Tanyo. It is good to see you all this morning here on the Twitter sphere. It is good to see you. Always a pleasure to see you. Sure is. Who's here on YouTube and Facebook? Checkmate. Is here. Anot, Sugar Visions, The Better Man, and Jeff are here. Question. Checkmate asks, is it possible for the collective consciousness to override one's individual consciousness? Listen to the question again. Is it possible for the collective consciousness to override one's individual consciousness? First things first, there is only one consciousness, but I understand the question. because he mentioned something here. Um, YouTube is really finicky about saying certain things. Just say, schools and what's been going on with them, but we'll leave it there. What would cause someone to be that way? Listen, as within, so without. You see, the pain that one feels on the inside has to be reflected out into the world. That's why they do what they do. It's not that the individual's consciousness is being overridden by the mass consciousness. The individual consciousness has to see itself. So that's why, as within, so without, the pain felt is the thing expressed. That's why students can do what they do. People can do what they do based upon that thing they feel on the inside as an individual. Not that they're being overridden, but it's the individual that forms the collective. There is no collective without an individual. So what the individual feels about themselves, they're not heard. They don't feel appreciated. They don't feel loved. And you see, we've been conditioned to think that those things come from the outside. But that is not the case. That's an inside job. But what if you don't know how to feel loved? What if you don't know how to feel appreciated? What if you don't know how to feel heard? First of all, remember, we were taught how to do those things. We were taught to feel inadequate. Oh, you doubt me, do you? We were taught how to feel that way. I'm coming, fan base. We were taught how to feel that way. In actuality, that is not what we are. So if you find that today you are feeling inadequate, less than, you have to know. I'm going to say to you, God put himself inside everyone, not as an afterthought, but as a forethought. He didn't choose you because, oh, look, this one over here is worthy. Oh, that one is not. No. Everything is worthy because everything is God. Everything is God. So today, if you feel that way, it is only because someone living from their state contributed to you feeling the way you feel. Because chances are this didn't come from just some random strange person. It came from a person who was supposed to love you and care for you and protect you. And that's why we take what they do so close to our hearts. Right? But they are in a state. That's why they behaved the way they did towards you. As children, we don't know that because we don't have discernment. We take it to heart and we think that that's what we are. But that's not the case. That's just what their state is. Their state is not the determining factor for your worth. But again, as children, we don't know that. We take them at their word because that's what we do as children. We rely upon them. But now we're not children anymore. So when we begin to see, oh, that's what they did. They lived from their state. They expressed their state. And when you recognize that part, then you can simply say, I understand. You know what? I forgive you. You were acting according to your state. And you will stop acting according to the old state that you were in of pain. But you see something? When you know the law and you apply it, you will raise yourself up from the lowest state. That's what you'll do. You raise yourself up from that place where you're not heard, not appreciated, not cared for, not loved. And thereby, we will stop individually projecting pain out into the world. Because when you project the pain, it is inflicting pain. But if you do not in turn inflict pain upon the other person who inflicted pain upon you, you neutralize the pain, bringing about healing. But sometimes we can't see past the pain to do that. And that is why this friendly and gentle reminder is here. To not repay evil for evil, but repay good instead. That is the response to your question. Checkmate. Oh, checkmate. It's no need to apologize. Wisdom Almighty, I see you. Fan base, who's here? Moon is in the house. Reacher, Dorosco, Commander is here. King Thoy is here. Happy is in the house. Kay is in the house. 808, Joaquin, Flo Smiles, Afternoon Delight is in the house. Stephanie, Ali is here. Miss Boricua is here. Marquise, KZ, Shay, Butter, Oracle Treehouse. Oh, look, the chat is bumping. I can see it. Well, let me go. I'm just trying to acknowledge things in the chat. Bear with me because I want to catch things. Well, yes. That's a lot in the chat. All right, let me go here. I want to touch on this part with I'm just gonna bring it with King Thoy had mentioned. People want you to conform and can't comprehend how you beat to your own drum. Well, that's because everybody is marching to the beat of their own drum, their own state. Remember that always. I like the way you said it there. You march to the beat of your own drum. That's telling you that each person is in their own state. They're hearing their own rhythm. You understand? Look at the choice of words we use as people, not you in particular, King Floyd, because that is a very popular saying, march to the beat of your own drum. You see how we use rhythm? A rhythm, the law of rhythm tells you that each person has their own ebb and flow according to the state that they're in. This is why they march to the beat of their own drum rhythm. You understand? Right? Yes. Understood. Scrolling. I'm scrolling. It is. And here's the thing. Because you touched on religion, let's mention it here a little bit. Religion is man-made, but the law is man-observed. You understand the difference? If you live by way of law, you are neither quote-unquote spiritual or religious. You see? If you live by way of law, right? You're not religious, nor are you spiritual. You're just living by way of law. But we like to put a label on things. And it is in that label that we create division. Because it's natural. The moment you see a label and you say, oh, that goes here and that goes there, we fracture the self. But if we can remember All religions do exactly the same thing. They tell you of the existence of a greatness that cannot be named. That's what religion tells you. It's the acknowledgement. If you look into every holy book, they have something or someone called God, or some kind of reference to something that they think is greater. That is the commonality of religion. But because one person wants to stick their flag in the ground and say, I was here first, I get to name what it is. Now we create division and we forget that we've all recognized there is but one. You see? If we go with that part of religion to recognize that we are but recognizing one thing, a greatness, we mend a lot of fences in the words, but lots of people want to be right. We want to be right. Don't seek to be right. Comprehend. Because if you listen, polarity would tell you. If you say, well, I'm right, well, then the other person, they're going to say, well, I'm not wrong. Both parties are right. Because you're both living according to your state. So you're right according to your state. So, this morning, right? Do not walk around feeling inadequate. It has a particular stench to it. You want me to say that to you again? Do not walk around feeling inadequate anymore. Listen, I'm not coming for you. I'm already talking to myself. I had to come face to face with that on Sunday. My mother sent me a picture of my sister. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Listen. She is so beautiful. She really is. And I had to come face to face with the, oh my God, Mommy, how come I don't look like her? I'm like, Mom, look at how beautiful she is. Ooh. Oh, snooze. Snooze. Is it going to work? Oh, come now. Be a good boy. Give Mommy 2 more minutes. I love you. Give me 2 more minutes. I have to come face to face with that inadequacy in myself. Oh, yes. Indeed, I did. I said to myself, wait, because I think all my sisters are gorgeous. Oh, my word. Are they ever? They most certainly are. And then I look at myself and I'm like, ugh, well, at least I'm cute, I guess. But I had to remind myself, what state are you in, Angela? If you walk out here in this world thinking that you nasty, that you ugly, what are you going to be doing in that state? Seeking somebody's approval. And if I seek the approval of others, I am now their slave. So don't think today that I come and I talk to you because I am perfection. No. Well, according to law, I am. I am is perfect. But I had to let go. Whew. I'm still letting go. I'm still letting go. And I let go because of reminding myself daily. That is only a state, Angela. It's only a state. So what state do I want to be in? And I put myself in the state. And when I catch that I've fallen, I go back. I don't beat myself up, but I go back to the new state. And then I hear the words of my grandparents. Somebody's always going to be more beautiful than you, depending on who's looking at them. But it doesn't make you less. It doesn't make you less. But if you walk as though you are less, you have to be less. Right? Remember, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What's that telling you? That a person is in a state That's why they can see what they see and how they see it according to the state that they're in. So I have to see myself in a different state. You understand? So don't think, that's why I'm telling you, don't think that I'm coming here and I'm on some kind of high horse or a soapbox. I'm not. I'm telling you because I have to experience it on a daily basis. So I know of what I speak. I know what it takes to have to put yourself back in the state you want to be in. And I know how easy it is to remain in the old state. Oh, I know. I get it. Indeed. Right? So, today, my beautiful friends, I want for you to walk in your greatness. Tony the Tiger always said they're great. But you, when you look in the mirror, you say, I am greatness itself. And when you say it to yourself, when you look in the mirror, look into your eyes when you say it. And if at first you don't believe it, say it again and see what it feels like. Say it again and see what it feels like. Say it again and see what it feels like. Right? We must always be deliberate in what we create in ourselves. The law is such a beautiful light. It really is. You don't have, oh, I know, right? You don't have to walk in darkness. You don't. You could if you wanted, but when I say darkness, I mean not knowing who you are. Walk with the knowledge that what? I am. And I am that. I am. What are you gonna condition that I amness as? Well, let it be great. And when you walk past somebody who's got their head down and they may feel a little something, something, elevate them in your mind's eye so that they too can walk with their head up. Because all are redeemable. None is beyond redemption. Because when you see, what's the scripture tell you? When you see me, you see the one who sent him. Because there's only one. Sender and sent are one. So you and the person you walk past are one. But anyway, let's not harp on it, shall we? Let's not. You need an analogy for the new state I want, leaning towards it. Okay. Well, what would it signify? What's the first thing you would do? Delight. What's the first thing you would do if you had it? Yeah, you would fall back in it, wouldn't you? And when you fall back in it, you would probably do a crazy girl laugh. I know you. Well, then, you see? So do that. Experience that in imagination, because that is the confirmation that you are experiencing what it is you want to experience. That's what you do. Yes, King Thoy, and you should shine always, because one does not hide a lamp under a bushel. We put it on the mountaintop for all to see. Ooh, you're going to plant lavender flowers in your yard? Ooh, that sounds delightful. Just the smell, right? Oh, chickens love lavender too. It allegedly keeps them calm and helps them to lay eggs. So you can sprinkle some of the lavender buds in their nesting boxes. I'm just saying, because, but yes, let's get the bowl. Let's get the bowl. Checkmate. Aw, Checkmate thinks I'm totally beautiful. Oh, why, thank you. And he says, the skin you're in is totally beautiful because you are beautiful, as within, so without. Oh, well, thank you. You guys are awesome. Let me get the bowl for us. Huh?
Technique is right as blood. Technique is totally right. You are beautiful. For some other people, you are beautiful, my love, inside and out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I pulled the marquise. Oh, boy. Hey, Dorosco, let's get the bowl. And as you hear the bowl, you may get bird song. I have my hand on the snooze.
Hey, positively, I just like to let you know, grand rising to everyone in the morning. Bright, early. I'm sorry, I'm a little. I'm excited right now, so I'm tired for words. But it made me think. A song I ain't heard in a while that is they're purposely taking these songs out of our community. I ain't heard the song in forever. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Hey, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Well, then, let that be the reminder for us this morning that as we hear the bowl and bird song, right? As we hear the bowl and bird song, the light that you have within you, it is only a beautiful light. So let it do what light does. Light illuminates. Yes? So allow it to shine today. Where have you hidden your light? So, King Thoy, thank you for that beautiful reminder that we should let our light shine. Hopefully, that song is old enough and does not have a copyright, because you know how YouTube can be. But I digress. So, this morning, as you hear the bird song and the bowl, wherever you have hidden your light this morning, bring it out and dust that bad boy off and put it on top of the mountain and let it shine. Let's get the bowl. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. Driving tea, love troll, baby. Tonyo, thank you for being here on Twitter and spending your time with us all this morning. Thank you. Much love to you. And enjoy your beautiful day. Oh, and if you've not pre-ordered your Hermetic Oracle cards, feel free to do so. And remember, keep your ears peeled for the update for the September 2024 Barbados retreat. Much love to you all. Oh, and I'll see you tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the lecture. Much love to you, Twitter. Twitter is closed. Let's cue the water. YouTube and Facebook, thank you all for being here. You know, checkmate. Wisdom Almighty. A-Not, Sugar Visions, The Better Man, and Jeff Darling. I see you all. I missed Sonia this morning. And Cynthia. I'll see you tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.